My brain. Let's talk about some books, shall we? I have devoured this book. I finished it. It's done. I think I didn't like her. Good morning, my loves. Now, welcome back to my channel. Welcome to today's reading vlog. Okay, my brain. Look, it is currently, what is the time? It's just gone 6:30 in the morning. And I know you're thinking, like, it's a Sunday and you've got work today. Why are you vlogging at 6:30 in the morning? So glad you are. Firstly, worry not, I have got a cup of tea. I haven't completely gone crazy. This reading vlog, if you couldn't tell from the title, is going to be a continuation of part 1 of a continuing series that I am in the middle of now. If you watched my previous video, which was my TBR book jar picks my spring reads, I very luckily was able to pick quite a few books that are continuations of series. When I recorded that video, it was just before I went away on a field trip for a week in Wales, and during the week in Wales, a certain book was released that I had mentioned in another video, and it was a very anticipated release for me. I knew I wanted to snatch it up ASAP, so that is exactly what I did. I picked it up literally yesterday, started it at about 8:30 in the evening, and I am currently on chapter 10, which is page 73. This woman just doesn't miss. You just don't miss. So if you couldn't guess, the book that I am talking about is The Strawberry Patch Pancake House by Laurie Gilmore. Firstly, yes, I did go to Works and I got the sprayed edges. What kind of fool do you take me for? And in the Works it was £6. Again, what kind of fool do you take me for? I don't understand where the questions are coming from, really. Thankfully, this is book 4 in the Dream Harbour series, which means I can include this book in this video because it is a continuing series that I'm in the middle of. I was in the middle of it, but I couldn't continue it because the 4th book hadn't been released yet, and now it's been released and it's here and I'm reading it. And I'm very happy about it. To start off this reading vlog, I am going to be reading The Strawberry Patch Pancake House. However, I will obviously be reading other books that I picked from my spring TBR book jar, but we will get to those a little later on in the video. I'm going to be honest, all I want to do is read this book right now, and it was literally the first thing. I'm literally looking at the time. It was the first thing I thought about when I woke up this morning. Literally the first thought in my head was Strawberry Patch Pancake House. I bet I look so tired and like watery-eyed. I literally woke up at 6:15. I woke up like 20 minutes ago. That's how excited and ready I am. I probably look horrendous. I did not give myself a chance to actually wake up properly, but one of the best feelings in the world is when you get excited about a book, okay? Let me actually explain the plot of this book to you if you didn't know. So, this is Dream Harbour Book 4. I was going to say Dream 4 Book Harbour. This is book 4 in the Dream Harbour series, which is a small town interconnected standalone rom-com series by Laurie Gilmore. The first book is probably the most well-known book, which is The Pumpkin Spice Cafe. I did read that in autumn just gone. I think I did a reading blog on it, so please feel free to go check that out. But this book follows Iris, who I don't know if we meet her in the first 2 books, but we definitely get a introduction to her in the previous book, The Christmas Tree Farm, where she works part-time at the Christmas Tree Farm. So this is her book and I'm loving it so far. Oh my gosh, I'm loving it so much. In this book, we have Iris and Archer. Now, Archer is a newcomer to town and he actually has quite a bit of a sad backstory. The reason he has moved to Dream Harbour is to meet his 5-year-old daughter Olive, and tragically Olive's mum passed away in a car accident and he has found himself now becoming a single father. He didn't know that Olive existed, he didn't know that he was a father until this all happened, so he's had to very suddenly move to Dream Harbour to meet his daughter, prove that he can be a legal guardian for Olive and basically start his life being a dad. And the way that Iris and Archer's stories connect is Iris is hired by Archer to be a stay-at-home nanny. So we've got forced proximity, we've got single dad trope, we've got the classic grumpy sunshine that is kind of woven into the Dream Harbour series. Archer is a well-renowned chef. He lived in Paris, and he's basically become the chef of, you guessed it, the Strawberry Patch Pancake House. Like I said, I've only read like 73 pages, so I'm not that far into it. But guys, I'm loving it so much already. It is exactly, I don't know what she puts in these books, but it's crack. And my poor little dyslexic brain just loves it. I read these books so quickly. I fly through them, and I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. It's the same with like Addie Hazelwood books. I just find the writing so easy and it flows so nicely. It's funny. It's definitely like a classic rom-com, just like her previous books. I don't want to go to work today. All I want to do is read this book. That's all I want to do. The fact that I'm going to have to be at work not reading just makes me sad. I'm going to be honest. But yeah, so this is the first book in today's reading vlog. I'm going to be honest, it's giving 5 stars. I honestly just, and the setting is perfect. It's literally set at the beginning of spring, at the start of March, which is where we are now. So the setting is perfect. And as always, the cover is gorgeous. Something I love about these covers is they always have like a little animal companion on the front. And then this one, it's a little bunny rabbit. So I've got a feeling he's going to go into dad mode and get Oliver Bunny. But that's just speculation. I don't know. And you can see like the cherry blossom tree. We've got like strawberry garlands that's foiled. And the picnic table. Oh, love blossoms in the most unexpected places. Preach, preach. Okay, but I'm going to stop rambling. I'm going to finish my tea and I'm going to just spend the morning before I need to get ready for work reading this book. Cool, so I did a quick camera check. Hopefully you can see me okay. Let's talk about some books, shall we? Firstly, tea of the day. I feel like this is something fun we could do. I say tea of the day, it depends. Tea of the video, I don't know. This is a Chelsea Garden white tea, a white tea with rose and strawberry. It's very good. Highly, highly recommend. That's good tea right there. Instead of this being like an update, this is now going to be final thoughts. Yeah, final thoughts, because I have devoured this book. I finished it. It's done. Finished it in 24 hours. No different to any other book from this series. 5 out of 5 stars. I don't understand what it is specifically about how Laurie Gilmore writes this book series. I haven't read any of her other works. I know that Laurie Gilmore, I've mentioned it before in a video, that's her penship name, but there is something specific about this series that has me in an absolute chokehold. And the characters of this town of Dream Harbour, I love every single one of them. The element of found family that has been created is so beautiful and I love it so, so much. This was my first book that I read with a single dad trope. I've never read a single dad trope before and I loved it, ate it up, 10 out of 10. I feel like this is a very good, gentle introduction to that trope if you haven't read that trope before. I didn't realize that Iris, our main female character, was 26. Yep, same age as me. Yep, I'm turning 26 in April. That I didn't quite realize that when I was reading the previous books, so that was a fun discovery to make. I don't know how old Archer is meant to be, but I'm assuming like late 20s to early 30s. That's just me guessing. I don't actually know. He has a 5-year-old daughter, Olive, who I would go to the ends of the earth for. Yeah, I would. Yeah. If she asked me to run off a cliff, I'd ask her which one. Point me in the direction. Which one do you want me to run off? And I'll go do it. Yeah, I feel like the family dynamic that was created in this book was just so beautiful. Is this, again, I've said this about every other book in this series, is this the like best written book ever? No, of course it's not. But it is exactly what I needed when I needed it. I feel like she just knows when I need this kind of energy in my life, this really gentle energy. There's a real gentleness about this series that I just love and adore. They are all so easy to read as well. They are such easy books to read. They're still well written. Like, I don't think these are badly written books at all. I still think they're really well written books. They're not earth-shatteringly well written, but they're still well written, very bingeable considering of how slow of a reader I usually am, and I get through these books within a day is crazy to me. March, springtime, is the perfect time to read this book. It is set during spring, starts at March, ends in, I want to say, like May, April. So definitely pick this up as part of your spring reads. Highly, highly recommend. What else do I love about this book? What else do I love about you? What have you done to me? How I feel about this book is how I feel about the series as a whole. I love it. I love the characters. It feels like I'm coming home whenever I pick up one of these books. I love that the fact that they're interconnected standalone, so we do get cameos of characters from previous books, especially from the third book, The Christmas Tree Farm. So our main female character, Kira, is Iris's best friend, so she pops up quite a bit. The classic book club, obviously, those nosy guys and gals pop up as well. I feel like this book was definitely centered more on the characters rather than the town itself. There was like their first spring festival, which they called like the Strawberry something festival. I can't quite remember, but I do feel like in previous books there was a lot more town setting, whereas in this one it was very much more focused on our two main characters, Iris and Archer, who I love. I love both of them. I literally don't have a bad word to say about either of them. I found myself relating to Iris quite a lot in some of the things that she was experiencing and saying. Not everything, but definitely there were some characteristics that I saw in myself. Archer is just a man that's trying, and honestly, more power to him. The way he has handled the situation of finding out that he is a dad, he handled it like an absolute champ, and not a lot of men would do that. So loved seeing his relationship with Olive, his daughter, grow. That was beautiful. Obviously loved the romance. This is a much slower burn than compared to the previous books, and it is far less spicy as well. I think if you were unsure about this series because you were worried about the spiciness, I would say this one might be a good place to start, even though it's technically not the first book in the series. If you are worried about the spice, this is definitely the least spicy. And I didn't hate that. I actually really, really enjoyed the slow burn of it. It was much more about the connection between the two characters and the bond that they were forming rather than the physical attraction. Don't get me wrong, it was still there, and there was still the classic comments of like, oh, he's so hot and all that jazz, and she's so this, and they definitely grew a connection first before it got physical. There was still that kind of instant physical attraction as they usually are in these kinds of books, but that wasn't acted upon until way past the halfway point of the book. So I get the feeling, because this is now making me want to pick up Daydream by Hannah Grace. My friend is actually currently reading it, and she had said very similar things about that book that I was saying about this book, and I really enjoyed the slow burn of this book. So despite the fact that I said that I wasn't going to continue that series, I actually might pick it up now because of how much I enjoyed the slow burn in this book. So maybe if you liked Daydream, if you're one of those that did enjoy Daydream, you'll probably like this as well. But it just had all the good gooiness that a Dream Harbor book has, and I am so excited for the next book in the series, which is going to be Mac and Annie's story. The next one is The Gingerbread Bakery, which is the bakery that Annie owns. And Mac is the owner of like the bar in town. And that one is going to be an Enemies to Lovers. I'm so excited. I'm so excited for it. But I don't think that's going to be coming out until the end of the year. But yeah, as I said, 5 out of 5 stars. These books have not disappointed me. And part of me feels like it's really bittersweet to finish a book so quickly, because obviously it's like over and done with. And I have been debating on just rereading the series again and just starting from the beginning. 5 out of 5. Thoroughly enjoyed. Love, love, love. Okay, so that obviously now means we need to pick the next book we're going to read. And I think I already know what it's going to be. So I do think I'm going to pick up Legendary by Stephanie Garber. The book club that I'm a part of, they're currently reading / finishing Caraval, and them just talking about it is just making me want to get back into this world, especially since I've just read 2 romances back to back. I read Strawberry Patch, Pancake House, and before then, even though it was still a fantasy, it was still also a romance. That was Wings of Starlight. So I do want to, I mean, this is also going to be a romance. I don't know, but this is, I think, much more fantasy than romance, whereas that was romance. So I do think this is going to be the next book that we are reading in this vlog. I believe this is following the sister of the first book, Donatella. I don't want to say too much about the plot of this book because I don't want to spoil Caraval in case you haven't read it. But the plot of Caraval, if you didn't know, is basically it's set in this world where Caraval, this mysterious, more of like a game. I was going to say a circus, but it's not really a circus. It's a game that just appears overnight out of nowhere, but the only way you can participate is if you get invited by Legend. I want to say his name is Legend. Yeah, Caraval Master Legends. The only way to get inside Caraval is if you get an invite, and in our first book, our main character Scarlett gets herself an invite. And we basically follow her journey through Caraval. It's very magical, very mystical. I remember it being kind of very Alice in Wonderland vibes, which I really enjoyed. I know we are re-entering Caraval in this book, but we are obviously just following Donatella, who is the sister. And the premise, from what I can gather, so yeah, and if you win Caraval, you are granted a wish. The winner, I think, needs to figure out Legend's true name. This is our next read. I feel like I'm blabbering now. Let's just crack on with it and hope we've got ourselves another series half tackled, because this is the second book and it's also a trilogy. But anyway, let's just crack on. Hi, so I filmed this clip at like 10:30 at night last night, and I don't know why I did that, because I looked so tired, I looked so exhausted, everything I was saying just wasn't making any sense whatsoever. So we're filming this again when hopefully I'm a bit more put together and I can form actual coherent sentences. That's the aim. That is the aim. Yeah. And I basically just want to give a reading update on Legendary. I am now 104 pages in, chapter 12. I am now over 100 pages in, and I feel like this is a pretty good point in time to be able to give you a decent update with my thoughts and feelings so far. I can't quite remember how I felt about Donatella in the first book. I think I didn't like her. I'm liking her in this book. She's kind of grown on me. She's very much the rebel sister, the sister that kind of gets in trouble, the sister who's willing to kind of dabble in the darkness a little bit. I'm kind of liking that. I'm liking that aspect of her character, especially since Scarlet was very much opposite to that from the first book. So I'm really enjoying Donatella's character. She is a little bit annoying, and I do remember that from the first book, but not to the point where I'm not enjoying the story. It's hard to update middle books in the series because obviously I don't want to give any spoilers about Caraval. I have got a feeling that we may have a love triangle in this book. I might be wrong. I may be totally and utterly incorrect about that, but I've got a stirring that may be where this is going. And I haven't read a love triangle in so long. I can't remember how I actually feel about them. I can't remember if I like them or not. I'm kind of hoping there is going to be a love triangle because I'd like to see how I feel about it. Something I am really enjoying is that this is feeling very nostalgic for me because this is very much the kind of book and the kind of series that I would have read in my teen years. Like, teenage me would have eaten this series up. That's partly why I am quite enjoying it. I didn't really get this feeling with Caraval, but with Legendary, I am getting that nostalgic feeling. It's really, really nice, and it's such a nice feeling to experience because I feel like I'm reconnecting to my teenage self. There's multiple things happening at once. There's a lot of question marks right now. There's a lot of mystery, and we are still very much at the beginning of the book, so I'm not expecting answers anytime soon, but there's a lot that we need to find out, and I am intrigued to see where it goes because there's a lot of like plots that's happening, and Donatella is in the center of all of them. So I'm intrigued to see where they're gonna go. But yeah, I'm enjoying it, and it's an easy read. The writing style is exactly how I remember it. Very whimsical, very Alice in Wonderland-esque. But yeah, so far it's probably sitting at like a 3.5 to a 3.75. Like, I'm enjoying it. I'm having a good time. It has potential to go up. That's how I'm feeling about it so far, and I'm enjoying it. Okay, lovelies. So it's done. The second book, and I think the final book of this reading vlog, has been completed. We have finished Legendary by Stephanie Garber. So let's just talk about it for a second, shall we? Obviously, this is going to be spoiler free. This is the second in a series, but I don't want to ruin the series in itself. But let's just get into my thoughts and feelings about some things, shall we? In preparation for this, actually rewatched my vlog from last year when I read Caraval, just to see how I felt about it. And I have very similar feelings. Funnily enough, how I felt about the characters in Caraval has flipped for this book. So I said in my Caraval vlog that Donatella really annoyed me, but she is the main character of this book. And she didn't annoy me in this book. I actually really enjoyed reading from her perspective. The whole idea of her and Scarlet is that they are kind of polar opposites. So Scarlet is the more reserved, safe character, where Donatella, she's the risk taker, she's the, I don't want to say rebel, but she's the naughty one. It was really fun reading her perspective while she played through the game of Caraval and kind of seeing her vulnerabilities and why she acts the way she acts and why she is the way she is. So that was really, really fun to see. If the sun starts to move, I'm sorry. But that was really enjoyable. I really enjoyed her just as a main character to follow. I think I actually enjoyed reading her perspective more than Scarlet's. So I clearly have a thing for the underdog sister because this is kind of how I felt when I was reading A Court of Silver Flames. I loved reading from Nesta's perspective, and not a lot of people love Nesta. She is the underdog sister. And I feel like that's clearly my thing. That's clearly the perspectives that I love to read from. So yeah, as the female main character, I really enjoyed Donatella. I didn't realize until right at the end of the book, that Donatella is 16. I thought she was 18 or like in that ballpark, but no, she's 16. This is the thing that I do have with reading YA now. I feel like a lot of authors are writing YA characters to act older than they actually are. But saying that, one of the other reasons why I really enjoyed reading this book is because it felt very nostalgic, like very nostalgic. I feel like 16-year-old me would have gobbled up this series. This is exactly the kind of book I was reading in my teen years. And I know for a fact that 16-year-old me would have been obsessed, particularly with this book, because there are some characters in this book that 16-year-old me would have just ate. We do have, obviously, Scarlett. She does play a role in this book, and Julian, who was the love interest in the first book, but not as prominent as two other characters, which are Dante, which we do meet in the first book, and a new character called Jax. I think I said it in a previous clip that I was kind of expecting a bit of a love triangle to form, which it did and it didn't. And that's all I'm going to say because I don't want to spoil anything, but it did, but it also didn't. The relationship and the dynamics between the characters I did enjoy, specifically between Donatella and, well, I really enjoyed her interaction with both of the characters, but for different reasons. So I think the way those relationships were constructed, I think were done in a good way. Now, the plot definitely, I think, kept me more intrigued than the plot of the first book. I feel like there is much more happening in this book compared to the first book, which kept me intrigued and interested. There's kind of like multiple plot lines happening at once, but they're all interlinked and intertwined. One of the plot lines is very heavily reliant on the mythology that Stephanie Garber has created in this world, which I found really interesting and fascinating. There were just some times where it felt like she was kind of throwing out myths at me to try and keep me intrigued or interested in that plot line, which she didn't really need to do. Like, I was already invested, I was already intrigued, but that only happened a couple of times. So, and it was more near the start of the book, so I guess she was just trying to lay the foundations of the mythology behind the world. The ending, something that happened again with Caraval and it happened with this book, was the ending got me. The ending got me and it has left me wanting more. I am so intrigued to see where it goes. I didn't think, obviously, I knew there was more to the story because I knew this was a trilogy, but while reading this book, and I had the exact same thing about Caraval, I was like, how is this story, one, going to wrap up, and then two, going to continue for a whole other book? But I think Stephanie Garber's done it. She's done it well, and I'm very, very intrigued to see how the story continues to unravel and then also conclude. A lot could happen in the next book, and I'm excited to see where it goes. I rated Caraval 4 out of 5 stars, but now that I'm thinking about it, I think I want to bump Caraval down to 3.5 and give this 4 out of 5 stars because I do think I enjoyed this more, but it's not above a 4-star for me. So I think my new rating for Caraval will be like 3.5, 3.75, and then this I'm going to give 4 out of 5 stars. I think I'm going to really enjoy Finale when I get my hands on it, which, let's be honest, it'll probably be very soon. I've kind of given myself a new rule. If I buy a new book, it can only be a continuation in a series. I cannot start any more or buy any more first in the series. I can't, not with this mammoth physical TBR that I have. Hopefully, I'll be able to pick it up soon because, yeah, I really, really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed reading from Donatella's perspective. I'm intrigued to see who perspective we're going to be reading from in the final book, if it's going to be Donatella again, if it's going to be a combination of both. I don't know, but I'm certainly intrigued. That concludes this reading vlog. Thank you so much for joining me. If you made it this far, comment. We could either do like strawberry pancake emojis, or we could do like the circus tent emoji, or all three. Go crazy, go wild. I really hope you enjoyed watching this reading vlog. I really enjoyed filming it. Hopefully we'll be having another one of these soon because I have picked up a book that is a continuation of the series that I'm very excited about. Anyways, I'm rambling now. I'm going to end this vlog here. Thank you for joining me. I hope you have a lovely rest of your day, morning, evening, afternoon, and I hope to see you in the next one.